Wielki mistrz Ulryk von Jungingen wzywa twój majestat, panie i księcia Witolda na bitwę śmiertelną.
He ventured alone into the lion's den to rescue his abducted daughter, yet he was forced to don sackcloth, wear a hangman's noose, and grovel upon the earth like a dog for mercy. After he sacrificed his dignity and endured all the humiliation for the sake of his child, the other party brought a strange, mentally disabled girl before him. In that instant, the god of war, whose very name once struck terror into the heart of the Teutonic Order, descended into utter madness. A cinematic classic. Knights of the Teutonic Order exposes the hypocrisy behind medieval chivalry with brutal honesty. The tale unfolds in medieval Poland, during the era when the Teutonic Order was at its most tyrannical. Under the guise of spreading the gospel, they committed unspeakable atrocities, pillaging and slaughtering along the borders. Within the walls of a raucous tavern, travelers of all stripes converged. Most notable among them were Machko of Bogdanik and his nephew Zbyszko, fresh from the battlefields of Lithuania. The young knight was hot-blooded and thirsting for glory. Suddenly, a maiden of breathtaking beauty entered their view. She was Danusia, daughter of Juron, the lord of Spykov, and a ward of the Duchess. Juron was a living nightmare for the Teutonic Knights. After his wife was strangled by the order, he had transformed into the very embodiment of vengeance. Danusia's voice, pure as a heavenly choir, instantly captured Zbyszko's heart. To win the fair maiden's favor, the reckless youth swore a solemn public oath. This was no mere boyish boast, but the prelude to a great tragedy.
Zedrę z hełmów krzyżackich i pod twoje trzewiki rzucę kilka takich pawich czubów, jakie miał krzyżak, który zamordował twoją matkę.
En route to Krakow, Zbyszko spotted knights clad in white mantles emblazoned with black crosses. One helmet was adorned with brilliant peacock plumes. Driven by his oath and a thirst for vengeance, Zbyszko impulsively charged with his lance. Little did he know, his target was no ordinary knight, but Kuno von Liechtenstein, the envoy of the Grand Master. To attack an envoy during peacetime was a capital offense. Though the assault failed, Zbyszko was immediately seized. A heavy atmosphere hung over the royal castle in Krakow. King Jagiełło, though he loathed the order, was forced to maintain a facade of justice to forestall premature war. The Teutonic Knights seized upon the incident, demanding severe punishment to uphold their dignity. Machko pleaded desperately, even offering his own life for his nephews. While the Polish knights sympathized with the youth's plight, the law was absolute. Zbyszko was sentenced to death by beheading. On the day of execution, the square was teeming with people. As the executioner raised his axe, Danusia rushed onto the scaffold. She tore the white veil from her head, cast it over Zbyszko, and cried out, "He is mine!" By ancient Slavic custom, if a pure maiden casts her veil over a condemned man and pledges to wed him, his life is spared. The crowd erupted in jubilation. It was a silent defiance against Teutonic tyranny. Zbyszko was spared, yet his fate, and that of Danusia, were henceforth inextricably bound to that dreaded order. However, the Teutonic Knights would not rest. The man they truly feared was Danusia's father, Juron. A mythical figure on the borderlands, his very name inspired terror among the Crusaders. To eliminate this scourge, Siegfried de Loo, the commander of Szczytno, alongside brother Rotgeir and brother Gottfried, hatched a sinister plot. While Juron was away, they forged a letter. They claimed Juron had been gravely injured in a fire, perhaps blinded, and desperately sought to see his daughter one last time. The Duchess, suspecting nothing, dispatched an escort to take Danusia to Spykov. En route, these brigands cloaked in the cross ambushed the convoy and abducted the girl. Juron himself had been buried in the snows, discovered nearly frozen to death. Upon reviving and learning that his daughter had fallen into enemy hands, this man of iron revealed a look of despair for the very first time. For his daughter's safety, he submitted to every harsh demand of the order. He released his prisoners and, unarmed, journeyed alone to the castle of Szczytno to pay her ransom. It was a trap from which there could be no return. Before the great gates of Szczytno, Juron stood alone. From the ramparts, the German knights gazed down upon their old nemesis as if he were a performing beast. They commanded him to dismount, divest himself of his armor, don coarse sackcloth, and wear a hangman's noose about his neck. For Danusia, Juron obeyed. He knelt in the freezing snow for a full day and night, enduring hunger, cold, and endless mockery. Only when the second day dawned did the gates slowly grind open. Inside the great hall, Siegfried and his cohort sat in imperious judgment. They heaped every manner of humiliation upon him, mocking Juron as if he were an obedient cur. Juron remained silent, his gaze fixed solely on that faint glimmer of hope. When the moment of promise finally arrived, the creature the knights thrust forward was not his daughter, but a witless, simple-minded peasant girl. The hall erupted in raucous laughter, a sound dripping with malice. In that instant, the final thread of Juron's sanity snapped. Suppressed rage, humiliation, and hatred exploded forth. Seizing a sword, he plunged into the crowd like a tiger among sheep. The great hall was instantly transformed into a slaughterhouse, the floor stained crimson. Before the fury of Juron, these knights who prided themselves on nobility were harvested like wheat. He slew many until the sheer weight of numbers overwhelmed him. Yet death was not his fate. A torment worse than death awaited. Siegfried did not grant him a swift end. In the gloom of the dungeon, this fiend revealed the darkest nature of the Teutonic Order. To ensure Juron could never testify to their crimes, Siegfried burned out his remaining eye, tore out his tongue, and severed his right hand. The god of war was thus reduced to a blind, mute, and broken ruin, cast out of the castle like refuse. Meanwhile, Zbyszko scoured the world for Danusia. His quest led him home, where he encountered Jagienka, a neighbor's daughter. She was the very antithesis of Danusia, wild, spirited, and brimming with vitality. She could ride and shoot, daring even to face wild bears in the forest. During a hunt, Zbyszko nearly lost his life protecting her from a massive bear. Jagienka fell deeply in love and nursed him with tender care. Uncle Machko urged the union. Danusia's fate was unknown, and Jagienka was not only beautiful, but possessed a rich dowry. But Zbyszko could not banish the memory of the girl who saved him on the scaffold, nor could he forsake his oath. He turned away from Jagienka's love and, once healed, resumed his quest. Though heartbroken, Jagienka sent her own squire to protect him, a touching testament to her deep affection. The gears of fate turned amidst the wind and snow. On the road, Zbyszko encountered a strange blind beggar. The man was in rags, tongueless, and missing a right hand, capable only of uttering mournful wails. Through tragic signs, Zbyszko realized with horror that this broken shell was the once mighty Juron. The brutality of the Teutonic Order shocked all who beheld him. Juron was returned to Spykov, a ruined man, groping in darkness, awaiting vengeance or death. Zbyszko swore revenge. Learning that Siegfried was transferring Danusia to a new post, Zbyszko and Machko laid an ambush in the forest. This was no mere skirmish. It was a judgment of righteousness. The Polish knights charged the Teutonic escort with burning fury. In the chaos, the arrogant Siegfried attempted to flee. Zbyszko searched frantically through the melee. Finally, within a battered wagon, he found the figure that haunted his dreams. Yet, she responded only with terrified recoiling. Danusia cowered in the corner, her eyes vacant, her mind shattered. Long imprisonment, torment, and terror had utterly destroyed the fragile maiden's spirit. She knew not her beloved, only fear. Heartbroken, Zbyszko gathered her gently in his arms, vowing to dedicate his life to her healing. The battle ended. Siegfried was taken alive. By the laws of knights and the logic of revenge, he was dragged to Spykov and thrown before the man whose life he had destroyed. All expected Juron to tear him limb from limb. The knife was at hand. The enemy was prostrate. The blind Juron reached out, tracing Siegfried's face. Then time seemed to stand still. Astoundingly, Juron did not strike. With his maimed hand, he pointed to the door. He set Siegfried free. It was a forgiveness transcending hatred, a supreme contempt for sin. In that moment, Juron's soul ascended. No longer a vengeful killer, he had become a true saint. Yet, for Siegfried, such absolution was a torment far sharper than the sword. He wandered the borderlands like a damned soul, fear and guilt gnawing at his vitals like vipers. Finally, beneath the boughs of a dark tree, the tyrannical commander chose the coward's way out. He hanged himself. His corpse, swaying in the wind, stood as a final, grim mockery of the Teutonic Order's hypocritical morality. Tragedy, however, did not cease with the villain's demise. On the journey home, Danusia's strength waned with every mile. Just as they neared Spykov, within the scent of her homeland's fields, she breathed her last in Zbyszko's arms. She departed this world without ever waking from her nightmare, never again to whisper her father's name. Juron followed his daughter into the grave soon after. Zbyszko had lost his beloved. Spykov had lost its lord. These rivers of blood and tears converged into a towering hatred against the Teutonic Order. No longer was this a mere feud between houses. It had become an irreconcilable conflict between two nations, two peoples. King Jagiełło of Poland sought peace through diplomacy. He returned seized ships, released captives, and endured manifold provocations. Yet Grandmaster Ulrich von Jungingen mistook such restraint for weakness. In his hubris, he believed his heavy cavalry and superior arsenal could easily crush the alliance of Poland and Lithuania beneath an iron heel. The storm clouds of war gathered over the fields of Grunwald. On July 15, 1410, one of the greatest battles of the Middle Ages erupted. Arrayed on one side were the Teutonic hosts, clad in heavy plate, disciplined and bolstered by mercenaries from across the west. Grandmaster Ulrich, brimming with confidence, had dug pits and positioned cannons, swearing to annihilate the pagans in a single stroke. On the other side stood the Polish-Lithuanian Union, joined by Russian, Tatar, and Czech volunteers. Though their arms were disparate and their tongues many, they were united by a steely resolve to defend their homeland and a bone-deep hatred for the invaders. On the eve of reckoning, Grandmaster Ulrich made a gesture of supreme insolence. He dispatched 2 heralds to the Polish camp, presenting King Jagiełło with 2 unsheathed swords, a mocking challenge to come and fight.
Wielki mistrz Ulrich von Jungingen wzywa twój majestat, panie i księcia Witolda, na bitwę śmiertelną. Jaby męstwo wasze, którego wam widać brakuje, podnieść, ślę wam te 2 nagie miecze.
Mieczów ci u nas dostatek.
The horns of war sounded. The Lithuanian light cavalry charged first. Yet against the wall of Teutonic steel and artillery, they suffered grievous losses and were forced to feign a retreat. The Teutonic knights, sensing victory, broke formation in their bloodlust to give chase. It was the very moment the alliance had waited for. The main force of the Polish heavy cavalry was unleashed. 2 rivers of steel collided upon the plains with earth-shattering force. Horses screamed, blades shattered, and blood watered the grass. The dust of battle rose to blot out the sun. Zbyszko fought in the vanguard, seeking one figure amidst the fray, a knight with a helmet adorned with peacock plumes, Kuno von Liechtenstein. It was this man's arrogance that had birthed this cascade of tragedy. There were no words, only a duel to the death.
Kumonie Liechtensteinie! Znajesz mnie! Poznaję. Zaprzysięgłem, że cię odnajdę i spotkam się z tobą. Stawaj!
After a fierce exchange, he struck Liechtenstein down, fulfilling the oath he had sworn in blood and tears. The tide of battle turned. The routed Lithuanian forces returned to the field, encircling the enemy. The pride of the Teutonic Order, their heavy cavalry, found themselves bogged down in the mire, their massive armor becoming their tomb in the crush of melee. Grandmaster Ulrich, seeing the end was nigh, refused to yield. He led his final personal guard in a suicidal charge, only to be felled by the lance of a common foot soldier. As the sun set upon the carnage of Grunwald, corpses covered the horizon. The once invincible Teutonic host was annihilated. The Grand Master and hundreds of commanders lay dead. The banner that symbolized tyranny and oppression had finally fallen into the bloody mud. Although the war was won, he had lost Danusia, he had lost Juron. This war was not merely for revenge, but for survival. For as the ancient proverb warns, he who lives by the sword shall die by the sword. Knights of the Teutonic Order, in its 3-hour grandeur, weaves an epic of love, hate, faith, and redemption. It reveals that while individual fates are but dust beneath the wheels of history, it is the passion of these small lives that swells into the flood which drives history forward. The tragedy of Juron, the martyrdom of Danusia, the coming of age of Zbyszko, and that earth-shaking final battle all serve as crimson footnotes to that era. In this merciless world, justice, though often delayed, is never denied. Yet, to secure such justice, men must often pay a terrible price. This is the cruel, unvarnished truth of history.